It's personal between me and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came in to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, in the aftermath of Frank Martin beating Michelle Rivera, Frank Martin called out Rolly Romero, he called out Gervonta Davis, and he looks like he's on his way up, onwards and upwards towards massive things in 2023. He looks like he could really break out in 2023 into a full-fledged star in the sport, being that he's got some good wins on his resume. He can really fight, and he's got Errol Spence and Al Haymon behind him. So these things all count for something in boxing, But I wanted to revisit something because now it looks like it is relevant to this video. Now, for those of you who may or may not remember, there was a point in time where Chris Colbert, after he lost Hector Luis Garcia, they were trying to line Chris Colbert up for Frank Martin, and Chris Colbert and Errol Spence had a back and forth on Twitter. That fight was supposed to happen. It never happened, but Chris Colbert is still open to the opportunity. So let's get into what Chris Colbert said. He said, and I quote, "I'm no hater. Great win for Frank Martin. Now let's dance." So Chris Colbert wants that fight with Frank Martin, and to fight Frank Martin, he would obviously have to move up from 130 to 135 to make the fight happen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not against it. I don't think Frank Martin's going to get a tank fight next. I don't think he's going to get Ryan or any of these big names. I don't think he's going to get Rolly next, truthfully. So if he can't get those bigger names, the guys whose names have a higher value in boxing at this moment in time, then I would love this fight because we know the build-up's going to be crazy. We know Chris Colbert's going to talk a whole lot of shit. We know that people don't like Chris Colbert, so that adds to the excitement of him. People wanted to see him get knocked out again, or to lose, not get knocked out, but to lose and get knocked out. And I don't think if Frank Martin is going to take a step backwards for his next fight, and it's not going to be a big name, I don't think there's much better that he could do in the PBC stable than fighting a guy like Chris Colbert, because of how he is, the fight's going to be a big deal. And listen, you know how boxing is. Boxing's a lot like life, when you're down in life and you've taken a loss, obviously people don't have the same opinions of you as when you're up and when you're doing well. So obviously, Chris Colbert's not going to have the opinions of him being the highest right now. But you got to remember, every fighter in boxing is one fight away from rewriting the narrative. And of course, I think Frank Martin will beat Chris Colbert right now. But listen, if Chris Colbert wants to fight and he's willing to move up in weight to fight a harder fight to get his name back in the mix, then you got to respect that. And I say, if Frank Martin can't get those big fights, then you give it to him, because at the end of the day, personally, and this is just me from what I think and from what I know, I just think Chris Colbert hasn't been living life outside of boxing. I know he was here down in South Florida when he was training at Herman Caicedo's gym, and I fully believe he was probably enjoying the life a little bit too much. It's hard. It's hard when you train down here in South Florida to focus, because if you got money, you can get around, you can go do things. It's not hard to get into trouble. You got to know where to not go and where to go if you're trying to be a disciplined fighter. And I do think part of that is the reason why he didn't perform as well against Hector Luis Garcia, even though he didn't make that excuse. That's what I truly believe. So I do think whether it's against Martin next or a lesser fighter, I think Chris Colbert will be hungry to show the world and prove that he still is one of the top fighters in boxing. It's funny, I got this ring magazine on my wall that I like. It's one of my favorite ring magazines, and it's called The Future of Boxing. It was a 2019 up-and-comer book, most likely to succeed in 2020 and beyond. And it had like 10 fighters, and Chris Colbert was one of the guys in that issue. So if he was on that issue and people were thinking that highly about him just that long ago, then obviously it meant he was a pretty good fighter. I remember when he fought Jaime Arboleda and did his thing, and he looked like he was becoming a complete fighter in the sport of boxing. But as I've stated many times, when you don't progress in boxing or in life, you're regressing, you're stagnating, and that's kind of what I think happened with him. And now he got that wake-up call. So now we're going to really see what's in this man's soul and in his spirit now that he has taken a loss in embarrassing fashion to Hector Luis Garcia. So I'm not against it at all. Frank Martin got to stay busy. I want to see guys like Frank Martin and Regis Prograis and these fighters that have proven themselves. I want to see these guys fighting often, 3 times a year, because boxing, we live in a very fast-paced world where it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, and there's so many fighters in boxing, so You know, if you're out of sight for even so much as, let's say, 6 to 8 months, you kind of get forgotten about and become an afterthought in boxing, and just because of all the different entertainment options and sports and fighters. There's a lot to compete with, so fighters got to be out and active. Inactivity is a chronic problem that is plaguing our beloved sports. So I want to see Frank Martin active often next year against, you know, whoever they can get him against. And Chris Colbert seems to be one of those guys that is more than willing to fight him. So let's make it happen. Chris Colbert versus Frank Martin. Frank Martin can't get those big fights. I don't think that there's much better that they can do. You know, Chris Colbert can switch hit. He's still an athletic fighter. He's got hand speed. He's got good amateur pedigree. It's a good fight. Make it happen. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is this a fight you would be interested in for Frank Martin if he can't secure fights against bigger names in 2023? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care.
Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this video, click right here and make sure you subscribe. Much love from sunny South Florida.